buddies, hello and welcome to another Monday and another look back through the Bowlers World Archives. Before I start, an apology. The more eagle-eyed viewers out there will have noticed there wasn't a comments corner last week or a video of classic bowling footage on Friday, and that's mainly due to some technical problems I've been having with my camera and computer. I think I've got them sorted now, so hopefully this will go without a hitch. I'll be honest with you, I'm not feeling very well at all. Didn't go into work today, had my jab yesterday. They put the microchip in and it's obviously not sitting very well with me. It is one of the side effects that you can feel fluid and have a dead arm, and that's exactly what I've got. So hopefully I'll be right as rain by tomorrow. If not, definitely Wednesday. Whichever way you look at it, I'd rather just feel rough for a day or so than get the dreaded Rona and be on one of them breathing tube thingies. That's no good for anyone. So anyway guys, thanks for joining me today. Remember, if you enjoy these videos, hit that like button, and if you're not already a Bowls buddy and a member of this wonderful community, please hit the subscribe button. It's absolutely free of charge, and don't forget, hit the notification bell for notifications of new content on the channel, which, when my equipment works, is 4 times a week. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I don't even know what time of day it is, to be perfectly honest with you. So if you remember last week, we looked at March 1981. A lot of money coming into the game, lots of things happening. There was a standoff between British Crown Green and competition organisers about what rules you play to. And all I want to do is look at March 1982, fast forward 1 year, to see what the crack is now. And it's not going to be a very long video, this, because I really don't know how long I'm going to last. But for me, this was the time when the game really needed some really good organisation. Competition bowls was absolutely booming. Money was flying into the game. People were making almost a living at it. If you got in all the televised events, you know, you'd be pulling in quite a few quid. And the problem was, no one was really taking control of it. It was left to individual clubs, individual organisers to sort the dates out, and it wasn't uncommon to see, maybe not in 1982, but fast forward a bit, you know, to 1990, it was common for there to be 3 Bassmasters qualifiers finals on the same day, with people qualifying for all 3. Maybe it wasn't because of the lack of internet and things like that, it wasn't just seen as much, but it certainly happened. Players qualified through the first game and then went somewhere else and try and win another event. I've seen it far too often over the years, and for me that was the big thing. Once we got the money in the game, we needed more organisation. Yes, British Crown Green were doing their bit with the county championship, the All England, things like that, and eventually the tournament players formed their own organisation, the Tournament Players Association, which was great, but the organisers were never really unified, and for me they were the ones that made the big difference. They could have made a big difference with a bit more guidance and a bit more help for the governing body. We could have had a proper sort of tour, if you will, Crown Green competition tour, where competitions weren't clashing. They were, you know. Anyway, I'll get on to that. So I just really want to look at the front page. Bowlers World 1982, number 38. The big headline: Seaside Shuffle, festival scene hots up as Spain moves in. Bowling festival competitions face a fair old free-for-all this season as players combine pleasure with play in an exodus to the seaside. And I think it was the previous year the Wire Festival had started up, and it was an amazing success, and it will go on to be a success for at least another 10 years, getting well over 1,000 entries. In fact, I think it was 1,000 men and 800 women, something like that. It was incredible. And there was also talking about a Spanish festival on the Costa del Sol, which again went really well, and there actually quite a few competition bowlers entered that. The Isle of Man was on a decline at the minute. The numbers weren't particularly good, obviously still better than they are now, but compared to the 1,500 or so that used to enter, the membership had diminished considerably. So for festivals, everything was going really well, everything was booming. People liked the idea of going away for a week, taking the family with you. You go bowling, wife and kids go on beach or whatever. Or fantastic, best of both worlds. And yeah, as I say, the Fleetwood Festival was a great success for at least another 10 years. I'm trying to think, maybe even longer. I stopped entering it at one point. I think it might have been when I was at university or got a job or something. So I can't just remember when it started declining, but I know every year I went, if you didn't get your entries on that Wednesday when you were queuing up on the Palisade, you didn't get in. So yeah. And then also on the front page, rules rebels now face a year's ban. Bowlers who compete in open tournaments not affiliated to or played under British Crown Green rules now face a 12-month ban, and this was first mooted last year in the 1981 issue. At the British Crown Green Association's half-yearly meeting at Crewe, delegates voted unanimously to bring the Opens into line with association competitions. Over the past couple of years, our policy has been one of persuasion rather than compulsion, explained Association Secretary Eddie Elson. Now that the last bastion has crumbled, the Waterloo, which will play under Crown Green rules this year, we felt the time had arrived for all competitions to be governed under the sports governing body's set of rules. And then it just goes on about what else there was. And the Open Contest affiliation fee, the Open Contest certificate went up to £5 full British pounds. I think it's only £7 now. And at this point, for those of you who don't know about the British BCGBA Open Competition Certificate, if you want to run a competition, if it's only a local event and there's only going to be entries from your own county area, you don't need one. As soon as you open it up to other counties and other areas of the country, you need an Open Competition Certificate. Now, you would expect that Open Competition Certificate to give you certain amount of backup in case people don't pay entries, any sort of issues that arise. You know, you can go to British Crown Green and plead your case, and I think that is the case. But at this point, all this money coming in, it was at this point that those open competition certificates could have been used to better advantage for the game. When people get in touch with British Crown Green and say, right, I want an open competition certificate for such and such a date, whoever is in charge of that should be saying, well, actually, there's another competition 10 miles down the road with similar amount of prize money, similar amount of entries. It ain't going to happen. They've got their date first, you know, you'll have to find another date. That conversation never happens. They're just, yeah, no problem at all. Now, the only county I've ever known to knock somebody back, because you're supposed to inform your county as well in case they have any objections, and usually they don't, is Yorkshire. And I know certainly the Dulux Classic that was held at Walsden, they had their dates knocked back because they clashed with a qualifying session of, I think it's the Hutchinson Trophy or something like the Cockcroft Trophy, something like that, one of Yorkshire's own events, and it got knocked back and they had to find another date. Now, of course, some of you out there will be saying, well, people sponsor competitions, they want them on certain dates. Absolutely, but then you end up with the situation like we had where people were qualifying for 2 and 3 final days on the same day, throwing games, and the sponsors weren't happy either way. For me, lack of organisation. We could we could, with hindsight, and hindsight's always 20/20, of course. But I seem to remember sort of when I got interested in competition bowling, late 80s, early 90s. Organisers didn't really talk to one another. They didn't take things into other competition into account. I even remember times when the Waterloo and Talbot have clashed. When it was at the Rakes, when the last, can't remember what day it was, the last 32 of the Waterloo clash with the last 64 of the Talbot, or vice versa, or something like that. And you're thinking, well, they're only a couple of miles apart. It's if you can't sort that out, what chance have you got? But for me, this was an opportunity to have organised Crying Green Bowls far, far better than it was. Just saying to organisers, well, do you know that there's another event happening down the road? But of course, it never happened. So people just had competitions when they wanted, when it suited the club, when it suited the sponsor, and then when people started abusing the competitions and throwing games and things like that, it left a sour taste in the mouth, and the sponsors just pulled their money out. So ultimately we lost out. And this 1981, 1982, we saw a lot of money coming into the game, and people wanted to be like Brian Duncan and Noel Burrows and Ken Strutt and all Dennis Mercer, all the people that had seen bowling on television in the 70s. It was an opportunity for the bowler who fancied himself to test his skills and have a go and try and become a name themselves. And for the next 10-15 years it continued to boom. Money wasn't an issue, and in fact television took a great interest in it. Only a couple of years after this, 84, everything really started booming then. 83 was a big year, 82 was the start of it all. Big money coming into the game. I think on page 3, Thwaites get involved at the Witten Club for the English Open. They put something like £7,500 in. Which is an awful lot of money even now. If we could get a sponsor for £7,500, that would be amazing. To get it in 1982, wow. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. There will be a catch up on Wednesday where I'll be talking bowls and updating you about a few things and telling you about a few things and hopefully having a laugh and all the rest of it. Same again Thursday, as long as everything's working, there'll be a comment corner and there should be a video on Friday as well, hopefully. So thanks for joining me today. I hope you're all staying safe. It's not long now until we'll be back on the greens. Really looking forward to it, really excited for it, and I just hope that we get some lovely weather so we can go out and start bowling again. So hope to see you Wednesday. Take care. Bye for now.